Now that we are currently pushing more of our in-game builds, I felt like this was the perfect time to get into applying your socket types and as well as your max capacity up in these systems and why they are important and why you want to be very cautious when utilizing these systems. Now, of course, with that, we're going to go ahead and jump into where this is at. So if you take a look and you go to your Descendant module, so we'll go back, you can either find this on Descendant module, or if you're on your weapon, you can just press module settings, and that will take you to the same screen. So if we go here and you go to module additional settings, you'll see assign module socket type. Now, the first thing I want to kind of just reiterate or go over is that if you look at every single module, every module has a symbol with the cost right next to it in the top, in the middle of every single module. It is really important to remember that, because that's something that you're going to be aware of when you're going to say select what you want for that module slot that you're trying to make, right? Now, the socketing, for example, if you notice here, we have this M symbol in this slot. So if I was to take something that was, say, with an M, right? This gladiator, for example, it would actually cut the cost of that in half. So let's say, for example, I unequip this, right? And I put this gladiator one on, right? It cuts the cost in half. And so instead of it costing 4 costs, it now costs 2 costs. So these slots are of the utmost importance because they're going to allow you to reduce your costs so that you have more capacity to equip more modules. And this is something that you want to kind of factor in. Of course, this is still applicable to weapons and as well as your characters. Now, of course, for your characters, this is a little bit of a different process. I'll show you it on the weapons. But of course, this is something that you want to be aware of. Now, I'm going to go back and not save that. Let's go back in. And then we're going to go to the module additional settings and assign module socket type, right? Now, like I mentioned before, let's say that we wanted to, say, make another slot for the M, right? There's a legendary or ultimate module that we want to put in that slot. You're going to select the slot space that you want it in, and then you're going to select the module socket type. Now, the thing is that it says assigning a socket type resets the Descendants level. So this is what you would factor or consider or call prestiging, basically. If I was to give it a name that people might realize or understand what it is, that's what this basically is. Now, the thing is that the resource required for this is called the crystallization catalyst. The crystallization catalyst is something that you can farm up and craft, but I would argue it might take a little bit. Probably not an insane amount, but it is probably going to take you a little bit of time. You need the crystallization catalyst blueprint, advanced neural circuit, mixed energy residue, macro molecule, biogel, and murky energy residue, right? So that's what you would need in order to be able to make one of these. And for each of the characters that you're using, this is the process that you're going to want to take to help you reduce costs to, again, utilize more of your capacity. Now, when you hit that apply socket type, you will be able to farm your character back up. But keep in mind, it's not hurting your character because you already have level 100 gear. So when you go to do, like, say, defense mode in Kingston, you're just going to be leveling your character right back up pretty quickly, right? So this is just a process for you to be able to customize and make your very end-game build so that you can do what you want to do and have your character operating how you want them to operate, right? So very straightforward. Now, the other setting here is the max capacity up. Now, the max capacity up requires a different resource. So it says you can permanently increase max capacity by consuming 1 energy activators, and the max capacity increase can only be applied 1 time. Okay, so with this is the energy activators. Of course, you need a blueprint for this. You need the polyatomic ion particles, heat plasma battery, conductive metallic foil, and low carbon activator to be able to craft this, right? And this takes an insane amount of time, right? Compared to some of the other things you might have been doing, it takes about a day and 6 hours for you to craft this. So if you are crafting these, just be aware of how long it takes, and or using these, be aware of how long it takes. And that's why, I made it a point to say in the very beginning of the video that the emphasis in understanding that these resources do, come with a cost is obviously time. If you're spending, you can obviously speed these up, but it is also actually going to run you 750,000 gold for you to be able to also utilize one of these. So again, isolating and picking who you want to use this with is going to be really important. Now, the other thing about this and why this is such a important resource is because if we actually go back to our weapons, right? And we go, say, to my machine gun, and we go to module settings. So now we're on the gun, and we go to module additional settings, right? The same resource, right? The crystallization catalyst. You can do this process for your guns as well, right? So this makes it to where this resource is going to be a hot commodity. It's extremely valuable because it's going to be adding more value to your weapons, to your characters. And then the same thing for the module max capacity up. That same resource, the energy activator, is also going to be applicable to your equipment. So it's going to be really important that you are picking and choosing, very carefully on what weapons you are utilizing this. And yes, you can use these on rares, you can use this on the ultimate weapons, and of course the base characters and ultimate forms of them as well. So you just want to be very careful with using these because it's going to help you power up significantly, but understanding what it's doing and why you're doing it is really, really important, right? So outside of that, the main thing, guys, just to keep in mind is that when you use an energy activator, it will say use count on it. You can only increase it one time, okay? So at that point, when you do that, that will then be your max capacity, right? So again, if we look at it, it said max capacity up 75. That's going to be your max capacity. Now, there are, for example, like I know on the Descendant, there are some modules that will give you more module capacity. So that isn't exactly the same rule of thumb for your Descendants, but it is for your weapons, right? So just kind of keeping that in mind, that's essentially what this system is. So I wanted to have this video up for those that, as you were trying to traverse and you were asking that question, what exactly is this? Why exactly is this? They do give you some for free. I think the next one that you actually get, I think I have a quest up for it actually. And you should get some quests. So they are pretty friendly about it. They don't just say hey, you got to craft these. The next one you have to do, the first one you do is for the Hangman, which is in normal mode for the Void Inception battle or Intercept battle. And then the next one is going to be for Executioner on hard difficulty. So that's the very next one that I have to do. So again, I'm going to be streaming twitch.tv/ZoxysCon. Make sure you guys come through. But that's going to be that. Hope this video was able to help. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.